And we're back with more from Trends forecaster Gerald Celente. Now, before the break, we were discussing geopolitics and the parallels between the 1930s and today, but now it's time to delve a little deeper into the Fed. Now, I got to start off by asking you, Gerald, in this segment, another parallel that has been made between the 1930s and today is the Fed's involvement in shaping the bubble. Now, in the past, you referred to the Federal Reserve as a banking cartel. And with last week's appointment of Janet Yellen as chairwoman of the Fed, do you believe this changes anything at all? And if so, how?
That changes nothing. It's just a new face singing the same song with a different voice. No, I mean, she's just there as that, you know, following orders, doing what they do. You're not going to see any changes at all. They're really in a quandary. They don't know what to do. Aaron, what's going on is unprecedented, not only for the Fed, but for all of the central banks. Let's be honest about this and look at the facts. The only reason China is going through what it's going through is they're dumping trillions of yuan into their system to keep it going. Look what's going on now with the ECB, the European Central Bank. They're going to be getting negative interest rates. You can't make this up. Look what the Fed has done with quantitative easing. Who ever heard of this term before? This is all uncharted territory. The only people it's helping are the financial markets. They cannot stop doing it. If they don't do quantitative easing, guaranteed they will come up with a new scheme undreamed of that's going to be another way of juicing the economy with cheap money.
Now, speaking of quantitative easing, it's recently been reported that policymakers have discussed creating a program to buy short-term Treasury securities in order to keep yields low, even after QE3 taper. Do you see the possibility of a smooth exit plan for the Fed from quantitative easing? And basically, how much longer can rates stay this low? Yeah, I'm sure you have an opinion on this one.
Yeah, they can't get out of it. If the money doesn't flow into the system fails. Look, again, just look at what's going on with interest rates. You heard Ben Bernanke last week saying it, that people can buy automobiles. It's like a car dealer now, and I love it. Listen, you want a 0% interest rate to buy a car? Tell you what, you don't even need any income verification. You're having trouble getting one? Answer one of those ads on TV that tell you they'll get you one even if you don't have a job. It's another version of the housing bubble. The Fed cannot get out of this. The economy should have declined back in 2009 and 2010, but they've been pumping tens of trillions of dollars into the system to keep it up. And by the way, this is not capitalism. In capitalism, they don't have 4 words, too big to fail. That doesn't exist in capitalism. Nobody's too big to fail. Actually, it's the merger of state and corporate powers, better defined by someone who knew the term really well, Mussolini. It's called fascism. And that's what's going on. It's a corporate takeover of the government. It's in front of everyone's eyes. They cannot get out of this. They're going to have to keep interest rates low. They'll come up with any scheme they can. But in the meantime, it's devaluing the fiat currencies.
Now, speaking of holding interest rates at an arbitrary position, the central bank has said that it will hold benchmark interest rates near zero at least as long as unemployment remains above 6.5% and the outlook for inflation is no more than 2.5%. Do you think that these are wise or just arbitrary numbers that the Fed is targeting?
Look, go back to the Fed minutes. Go back 5 years ago. They're there for everybody to read. Every one of them called it wrong. Not one of them saw a recession coming. You heard from Ben Bernanke saying there's never been such a thing as a national real estate decline since the Great Depression. He didn't see the mortgage problem as being one. There's nothing that Yellen or any of them called anything right. Of course these are guesses. And by the way, we can see low inflation. You can see a deflationary period. But what's also happening is the currency is being devalued. So it's inflation in a very different way. That's what happened, by the way, during the Great Depression. They made people turn in their gold. The dollar was pegged to gold at $22, I think it was $20.62 an ounce. FDR, they called a bank holiday, you had to sell back your gold. The dollar was pegged to gold. After they stole everybody's gold, or they sold it back to the Fed at $20.62 an ounce, what they did was they repegged the price of gold to $35 an ounce. Voila! Inflation didn't go up, but guess what? Your purchasing power declined by about 70%. So that's what you're seeing happening.
Now, a lot of economists and investors and trend predictors like yourself, they're talking about present-day currency wars. Can you tell us what your views are on the subject of currency wars?
Well, they're going on. You know, first you had, that's the other issue, by the way, with the tapering. All of this cheap money, that's what built the emerging markets up, because the cheap money went to these hot markets where you had the currency trades. So that's stopping. If the tapering stops, all these emerging markets start going down. So what are they being forced to do right now? Well, India, they're in terrible shape, but the rupee is going through the floor. So now they're being forced to raise interest rates to protect their currency. It's a currency war. Look what's going on in Japan. They're trying to devalue their currency, the yen, so their exporters could sell more stuff. Go back to the Depression. It was a currency war that went on. You heard it coming from Manteiga, the finance minister of Brazil. There's a currency war going on. And again, my greatest fear, by the way, is war. When all else fails, they take you to war. People have a very short memory. Just, what, a couple of months ago, President Obama was bombs away over Syria. Like that, they're ready to go. So if there's a false flag or a real attack in the United States, the whole game changes. Those yellow flags, those yellow ribbons will be wrapped around everything that's not moving, and all those made in China American flags will be flying again. They'll go to war in an instant, and that's how governments get people's minds off bad economic problems. History tells us that over and over again.
Gerald, thank you so much for your time. That was Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal. Time now for today's Big Deal.